When it comes to cruising, there are lots of things to consider when planning your holiday, but something that can often go overlooked is the size of your ship. Yes, plenty will look at what is on board a ship, and many will have their favourite cruise line, which limits the ships that you can choose from, and of course, many cruisers will also have their favourite cruise ship. If you are more open to the options out there, one thing that can determine so many other aspects of your holiday is the size of your ship. You may think it doesn't really matter what the size of your ship is, as once you're on board, they're all pretty much the same, but that just hasn't been our experience. We have been fortunate enough to have sailed on huge ships, such as the MSC Virtuosa, the NCL Bliss, and the Celerity Silhouette, whilst we have also cruised on smaller ships, such as the NCL Spirit and the Celebrity Summit. That gives us first-hand insight into their differences and the impact that they have on a cruise holiday. We have had many great holidays on both big and small ships, but one thing I can never quite determine is which is the best option for my wife and me. That is what I hope to determine in this video, that should hopefully prove of use to you in determining whether a big ship or a small ship is best for your own next cruise holiday. To try and determine which is best, we'll break it down into the key aspects of a cruise holiday, and in what you need to think about when choosing a cruise ship, including pre-cruise issues, the check-in process, differences in your entertainment on board, the overall onboard experience, the food and drink offerings, the itineraries that are offered, and the overall value of your getaway. As ever, don't forget to like and subscribe. Want to leave a comment below? We would love to hear your views on this video. My name is Darren, and this is our look at whether a big ship or a little ship is the best option for your next cruise. You may think that the choice of ship has little impact on your holiday before you get on the ship, but it often does. We're not talking about things such as choosing your cabins or the options available when doing so, as a small ship can have just as many options as a larger ship. What we have found is that when choosing to cruise on a big ship, you need to be much more organised, plan your days out more in advance, and book things before you even set sail. Whilst it does depend on the line you cruise with, you will often find that on a big ship you need to book dining times, or choose a set time every night, book into specialty dining rooms, choose and book in advance the date, the time and the shows that you want to watch in the theatre, and also choose your arrival and check-in times, amongst other things. On a small ship, so many of those things are a lot more flexible, and you can simply choose what you want to do and when you want to do it along the way of your journey. This works so much better for us not having to plan everything in advance, but what is the best option is a hybrid of the two, and on the small ships we have sailed on, that's exactly what we've been able to do. So for this one, small ships tend to work the best for us, as we can pre-book things such as dining times for the days when we know for sure we'll want to eat in a restaurant, normally sea days, and we don't need to decide if we are off to see a show in the theatre until showtime, which is ideal for those days when you're just not sure what you're doing. This is something else that many don't really associate with their ship, and whilst the port that you set sail from will be the biggest determining factor, the ship you choose to sail on can make a big difference. The biggest issue is the sheer volume of people and luggage that when sailing on a huge ship creates a level of chaos that can cause ongoing issues for you. If 5,000 to 6,000 people all try to arrive at the terminal at the same time, with 10,000 to 15,000 pieces of luggage, the chances are that you will have to join queue after queue after queue, be constantly bumped into, and often not have any idea of where you are supposed to go, as you can't see any signs or doors or helpers. All of that is just usually outside of the building, but it continues when you enter into the terminal, as you queue for security, struggle to find a check-in desk, and then you often have to stand around and wait ages to be able to board your ship. When you do get on board, the ship is often busy, and with everybody having luggage, it's just a stressful experience. On a smaller ship, there is just less of all of that. With fewer people comes fewer luggage, and smaller queues, and then your ship is easy to get on board and ready for you to explore. The check-in process for a smaller ship just tends to be a more enjoyable experience, and that tends to set you up to start your holiday in a better mood and more relaxed, which is always a big plus, so the smaller ship wins this one. For this one, we are going to focus on the actual entertainment on offer on both types of ships, We have already covered the issues with having to pre-book shows on the megaships. Both big and small ships will often have a theatre for big production shows and guest entertainers, whilst they will also have performances in bars, lounges and the atrium. Where they do differ is in the variety of entertainment on offer, where bigger ships will often have more production shows, more guest performances, and more places around the ship for entertainers to perform, and more often. You will also then get bonus extras such as Cirque du Soleil shows on MSC, diving and ice skating shows on Royal Caribbean, and West End style shows on NCL. Bigger ships will also have live music venues, comedy clubs and more, so if you love to experience a variety of entertainment throughout your journey, and you just want to have fun whilst on board, a bigger ship is probably the way to go. If you don't mind settling into an in-house production show in the theatre, and maybe listening to live music in the atrium for a night's fun, small ships offer all of that and more. Whilst we know our preferred cruise line will offer plenty to keep us entertained on board, even on board a smaller ship, we must give the win to bigger ships, as the variety can really make for a special getaway, as you can simply enjoy more of the sort of entertainment you like throughout your journey. There are lots of things that make up the onboard experience you will have on your cruise ship, including the staff, style of line you cruise with, and the people you cruise alongside. But another big part of it is the actual ship you sail on. On a larger ship, you can get lost in the crowd as there is just so many people on board, and so many venues, attractions and places to spend your time that you will likely be in a different place every day you are on the ship. On a smaller ship, with fewer places to spend your time, you will likely head to the same places over and over, and that allows you to get to know the staff working there, and your fellow cruisers who also frequent the same places as you. There is often a community atmosphere on board smaller ships, where you are likely to bump into the same people over and over again. Larger ships also tend to feature more big groups of people cruising, including family groups and groups of friends, and they also tend to have an overall younger demographic on board. Smaller ships will likely feature more couples and an older demographic. So as you would expect from those points, bigger ships tend to be noisier and busier, while smaller ships tend to be quieter and have a slower pace on board. Bigger ships will also have lots more entertainment, as already mentioned, and a wider range of activities to enjoy, while smaller ships will also have more basic activities. It is often thought that a smaller ship offers a more traditional style of cruising, whilst a bigger ship offers a modern style. Or to put in simpler terms, for those who maybe are new to cruising, a smaller ship is like staying in a hotel whilst on holiday, whilst a bigger ship is like staying at a resort. This is one of the hardest categories to break down into which is best for us, as we don't mind either really. In many ways it depends on where we are sailing, as in more remote places, that community feeling you get on a smaller ship really adds to the sense of adventure on your cruise. But if you are somewhere like the Mediterranean and are going from big city to big city, it really doesn't matter. If we had two cruise options, where everything was identical apart from one was a big ship and one was a small ship, the chances are that we would pick the bigger one. So we will give the point to the big ships on this one, but it is really incredibly close. This can often be one of the biggest differences between smaller and bigger ships, as on many ships, much of the extra space is taken up by three things: cabins, food and drink venues, and attractions. A lot of the extra venues on board are specialty restaurants, of course, but for the sake of this category, that does add in more variety and the option to enjoy your favourite type of food. It's not just extra cost venues, however, where bigger ships often come out on top, as the buffets tend to be bigger and offer more variety, whilst you also tend to have more main dining rooms and more flexibility as to when you can eat in them. Bigger ships also have many more bars and cafes, with different themings, that allow for more variety of drinks. On smaller ships, you tend to find food in the main dining rooms and the buffet can get repetitive, and with few options to eat elsewhere, you can end up getting bored with the food on longer cruises. The chance to try new food and drink on a cruise ship is a big part of the cruising experience for us, and that gives the edge to bigger ships, as there is just more variety across the board. The places that we visit on a cruise holiday will always be more important than the ship that we sail on, and it's not only in terms of where we want to visit, but where we don't want to visit. A perfect itinerary for us will have a few days at sea, visit only places we want to go, and not have wasted ports, such as Le Verdon, and even have overnight stops in places. We like destinations where you dock within walking distance of the main reason for being there, or at least next to a metro system to take you there, as we like somewhere that isn't overcrowded. Unfortunately, sailing on a bigger ship will limit all parts of those points, as when sailing on a bigger ship, you are limited to the ports that can accept them, and it is only the biggest, more commercial ports that you can visit, and you will often dock far from your destination, and more often than not have to get a shuttle to the port gate. The destinations will also be huge cities that are mostly full of multinational shops, bars and cafes, and more of them will be tourist hotspots where the signs are in English and you are unlikely to find locally made produce. For us, a holiday is a chance to experience a different culture and way of life, and it tends to be on smaller ships where you get to have that experience. With fewer people on your ship, the port and places that you visit tend to be less crowded, and thanks to your ship being smaller, you can visit more out of the way places. With all of that in mind, we give this point to smaller ships, as you tend to get more interesting itineraries that often have more variety and more chances to really ingrain yourself in the places that you visit. This is a tricky one to come to an overall decision on, as there are just so many variables, including the line you're sailing with, the age of your ship, the cost of your journey, and what is and isn't included in the cruise fare. We will therefore have to stick to broad overall discussion points for this one, and that includes smaller ships often being older ones, so the cost can often be less. Bigger ships tend to be new ones that cost more, but that doesn't answer the question of value. Whilst a smaller ship may cost you less, you often get less for your money. So on the flip side of that, a bigger ship costs more, but you get more for your money, so the value starts to level off. That does get confused once again, as whilst offering much more, bigger ships tend to have more pay extra activities and restaurants than smaller ships. In many ways it comes down to just what you want from a ship and from a cruise holiday. If you're going to take advantage of things such as ice rinks, dodgems, water parks, West End shows, surfing, 4D cinemas, rock climbing walls, go-kart and more, then a big ship could prove better value, but if not, smaller ships could work best. For us, while we certainly do enjoy lots of the things added onto the new bigger ships, with all of the extra cost involved for most of it, we tend to get more value from smaller ships. That is because we love to sail in more remote areas of the world, and when on a smaller ship, you get taken closer to what you are there to see, such as fjords, mountains and wildlife, and all of that is free to enjoy from your ship. There are huge pluses and minuses for both types of cruise ship, and it really comes down to where we are sailing in the world and what the itinerary is, as well as the cost of course. One thing is for sure, if you have always sailed on one type over the other, we would recommend trying the other type at least once. You never know, you may prefer it. So overall, smaller ships pick up the win in this one, coming out on top, with 4 categories, whilst bigger ships just got the 3. And that closeness is no surprise, as we do love sailing on both types of ships. So all that remains to be said is thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed our look at big ships versus little ships, which is best, and see you next time.